Hi everyone, Natasha here, and around my home today I am in my office. We have a gorgeous afternoon. We had a really cool, beautiful fall morning, and I'm working up in my office to finalize some of my quarter 4 plans and setting up the rest of my Kanban board. So stay tuned for that, and welcome to my office. Welcome back to my home. I'm so glad you're joining me today. If you saw last Sunday's video, then you know I was using my Jane's Agenda planner and I sat down and made a few notes. I established 3 main overall goals for my life for the next quarter, and then I broke those down into just brainstorming some small steps that I could do to help me work towards each of those goals. Now today what I've done is work on setting out my post-it notes to put on my Kanban board. So I got this idea from Do It on a Dime years ago. You go into a Word document, use the text box feature. I think it's text box or text block, but you'll make one document. So the first document, you'll set up your text blocks to be the same size as your post-it notes, print that out, and then you'll just save that as your printable template, and then you'll make a copy of that, and on the second document you're going to delete the borders, and then that is the one that you'll go in and type in whatever you want to be on your post-it notes. So then you just stick your post-it notes down to your page using that template, and then when you run it through your printer to print the second page, the one that has all of your detailed items for the post-it notes, then you've got post-it notes that are neatly printed. And I figured since a lot of what I was doing for these big goals that are going on my Kanban board were repetitive things like my Tiny Tidy Tuesday videos and my Beautifully Organized in 52 Weeks videos, it just made sense to me to go ahead and print them out. And that way it was a quick and easy task to get that done. And this was the last batch that I did. If I can figure out a way to share this template with you, I'll certainly do that. So you can always check the description of this video and see if I managed to get some sort of a link in there. But if not, it's just a Word document using the text blocks like I explained. So I'm going to turn my camera and show you just a few notes about some of those goals pages that I had established in my planner, and then we'll go to the Kanban board and add all of these items to it. But let's take a look at my planner first. So this is that last page with the little guidelines on it, so you can see how that works. So I'll be going through and adding these last couple of goals and items I want to work on in the next several months onto my Kanban board shortly. So these are goals related to my Jordan Essentials business, so that's why I have them in green, because anything that's green is part of my business goals. So here in my planner, we'll take a look really quickly. So last week I shared how I went through and just sat and thought a little bit about some of the main areas of my life that I want to work on reaching a few milestones or improving some things in the next quarter, and even as we go through the rest of September. So I established those 3 goals. I gave them a color code. So my personal goals are purple, my home related goals are blue, and my business and financial goals are green. Then I went through and just brainstormed some things that would work to either help get me towards that goal or to build some of the habits that would help me feel like I've more achieved that goal or I am achieving that goal. So here in the personal specifically, there's a lot of things that I decided would really just be best on a habit tracker. So this is new. You did not see this last week. I decided to go through and just make my little check boxes for whether it was something I wanted to put on a Kanban board or if I was thinking it was better for the habit tracker. And some things were both, or I wasn't sure. So things like reviewing our family schedule. Monthly, I like to make sure that our calendar in the kitchen is caught up with our family schedule. So towards the end of the month, I'll be setting up the next month. So I did make sticky notes to go on my Kanban board for each month for that. But then weekly, I like to go over the calendar with my family and just make sure everyone knows what's happening in the next week, where we're all supposed to be and when, that kind of thing. So I felt like this was really helpful for me to just sit and think about where was the best place to track or look for that goal and be able to keep making progress toward it. And then here, the final thing that I have yet to do as part of this system that I'm establishing for myself is Several of my goals for my Jordan Essentials business and my business here on social media is I want to reach some new milestones in different areas. And I added boxes, check boxes for both columns on a lot of these because I just wasn't sure. And after working on making my sticky notes today, I think what I have decided to do is to make some tracking pages. So it may just be some of the pretty notes pages like this, or I might get some grid pages out, but I'll have trackers on each of these goals. And what I'd like to do is just monthly note my progress. So note how many followers I have, or how many JJ Box subscribers, or different things like that. So what I did was make myself some sticky notes to go on my Kanban board just to remind me to update the goal trackers monthly. So the last thing that I'll do is create those trackers. I need to think about that a little bit more, so I haven't done that part yet. But I felt like that was a good way to track these things. This was something I had tried using a sticky note on the Kanban board for, but it just felt like that wasn't helpful and it didn't really keep me working towards it, or it wasn't a good way to track it. And now that I have decided just to make a tracking sheet for each one, or a couple of the items on one sheet, I feel like that'll be better just to see my progress, see those incremental steps towards the goals that I have set for myself. And it didn't really make sense to have a sticky note to be moving, since it would either be a whole lot of little sticky notes, or I don't know, it was just too ambiguous for me to try to make into a sticky note. So I think this is going to be the best way to do that. Now let's head to the Kanban board, and I want to add these last couple of sticky notes that I have here, and I'll show you the system I've set up for myself, including the wall calendar, to help me schedule out my weeks ahead and kind of know how I'm doing on my goals. So here's my Kanban board. I took this idea from Sarah Cannon over at Heart Breathings, and I'll have her channel linked below. Typically, a Kanban board, you work from left to right. I use mine in the same method she does, where I have it divided into 3 different sections based on my goals, and I work from top to bottom. So the items on the top are the things that I'm wanting to get done in the next quarter, or it could be the next month. You can decide whatever time period works for you. The middle section, these are things I'm working on currently, and once they're finished, they go in the bottom. Now, I have a lot of my sticky notes here in the middle for my home section, which is my Tiny Tidy Tuesday videos and my Beautifully Organized videos, simply because those really do have to do with getting my home more decluttered and more beautifully organized. So I felt like even though it's a social media related goal, it really is overall getting my home in better shape, and that's one of my important goals. So I put that in the blue in the home section. Now the other thing that I'm using in conjunction with my Kanban board is I have a large calendar here, and I'm using this for things that are scheduled out, like my videos. So that way I can look ahead, see if there's any videos I want to try to get done early. Once they're done, they can go in the done section on my Kanban board. If there's specific things that are time related, I can put those on here. And then I still know if there's general things I'm working on that month, it doesn't really matter when I do them, they're still going to be in this middle currently section, or working on section. So that is how I'm using my Kanban board. Of course, you could do it however you want, but I liked having the calendar to give me a visual reference on where some of my goals land on the calendar, and it helps me plan out my time and when I'm going to be able to work on those items. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that was helpful for you to see some of the ways that I'm going to be setting up my planner and my Kanban board going into Q4. And if you have any thoughts or ideas, or if this is something you might try, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. I will be back on Tuesday, of course, for my Tiny Tidy Tuesday. And this is again part of that fun collaboration. I'm working on decluttering my basement 1 box at a time, so you can check out my progress on Tuesday. And on Friday, I'll be back for another Beautifully Organized in 52 Weeks video, and we'll be working on a new area of our homes to get that a little more beautifully organized. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button on your way out. I appreciate you being here. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.